Joining us now to talk more about this are the founders of SiliconANGLE and theCUBE, Dave Vellante and John Furrier. Gentlemen, good morning.
Thanks for having us, Trinity.
Hey,
Great to see you.
It's always great to have you. So let's just jump right in as we're getting ready for the inauguration to take place next week. With the Trump administration, Dave, resuming office in 2025, how do you anticipate that his administration's approach will impact technology policy, and how will it differ from the current administration as well as President Trump's first term?
Well, as we talked about earlier this week, the two policy enforcers that have been in the news this year in this administration, Lina Khan and Gary Gensler, are out. And so the prevailing sentiment is that there's going to be more M&A and less crypto regulation. And I think, while both of those trends, Trinity, are more likely favorable for tech generally, especially, the latter, I don't think it's necessarily going to be open hunting season again for acquisitions. I've frequently been critical of Lina Khan, and my criticism often stemmed from what I felt were her misguided, applications of the Sherman Antitrust Act, especially her interpretation of what constitutes consumer harm and anti-competitive behavior. And she went after firms for potential harm. And so it's going to be interesting to see if that continues into the Trump administration. But the far more important piece of policy that I think people want to watch is the recent framework for artificial intelligence diffusion. And we've never seen anything like this before in terms of the scope and the scale of the restrictions that are being placed on semiconductor companies. And the impact on companies like NVIDIA and Oracle even could be particularly concerning, and it could mean massive regulatory capture for the likes of AWS, Google, and Microsoft. And I'm not at all sure that the Trump administration is going to reverse these restrictions, because at the end of the day, it's really about US hegemony more than anything else. And that's a populist idea that the Trump administration may want to preserve.
And John, President Trump has taken a clear stance, as we were talking about just right before the show, when it comes to certain policies and regulation like tariffs and cryptocurrency. However, he hasn't really taken a clear stance when it comes to AI or the policies and regulation behind this. So what impact do you foresee on AI innovation at the forefront and also regulation in the tech industry?
Yeah, Trinity, Trump is obviously getting all the attention. If you look at the pre-inauguration activity, all the top tech leaders are flying down to meet with him. They're kissing the ring, so to speak, and they're lining up because they know that he could put his thumb on the scales relative to the tech impact on AI and crypto. I think he lobbied that hard. He got a standing ovation. He sees crypto as a big play, so I think he'll stockpile crypto as a national opportunity as a country. So that's kind of checks the box there. I like his moves there. I think people understand that. AI is different. AI has so many cross connections. There's energy, there's water, there's power and cooling. So the data centers that need to run all this is the hottest area in AI and cloud scale, because that's where all the dollars are going. So all the CapEx investments, you look at all, and even nuclear is out there as an option, because you're looking at the power. You need power to run the AI servers, to power all those transactions. That's going to be a big thing. And of course, you have in the tech circles, people talking about AI, certainly in context of the United States, as the modern version of the Manhattan Project. And so you're starting to see, I won't say Cold War-like behavior, but you're starting to see posturing around making it a national competitive advantage for the United States, and that creates really a geopolitical nightmare. Obviously, Davos is coming up. I think we might talk about that, but Trump clearly can be pro-AI if things line up. I think he will be pro-AI. Obviously, Elon's got a big agenda with X, and XAI is raising a lot of money. You got Zuckerberg down there lobbying hard, Jeff Bezos, AWS. Again, all the tech players are lining up to say, please put the thumb on the scales. I think he will.
And Dave, considering the administration's plans to intensify export controls on China, how might this affect global supply chains and the operations of multinational tech companies?
Well, on the one hand, you've got tariffs, which, key issue there is, are they a negotiating tactic, or is it really something that, Trump's going to enact? And I think the answer is probably both. As it pertains to your question on export restrictions, I mean, the posture toward China, I think John's right. We are in a Cold War, and maybe even more. And China and other countries, if they're viewed as enemies, it's clear there's no AI for you, and there's not going to be much, impact for friendly nations. The big question is for companies like NVIDIA, and as I mentioned before, Oracle, potentially Broadcom, is will the demand from U.S. and friendly nations offset the headwinds that NVIDIA and others are going to face by not being able to sell older technologies into China. And this is really nuanced, but I want to explain it for the audience. For example, if you look at the price of NVIDIA older generation GPUs, it's tanking because everybody wants the new stuff. Well, what does NVIDIA do? They sell to those nations that are now considered either in the gray area or they're restricted from selling to those. So that could be problematic. What's much less clear is there's countries in the gray area, and they include a really wide range of firms, from Middle East companies, India, all the way to Yemen, who's bombed, U.S. assets. So nobody really knows how those are going to be handled, and I suspect it's really a purposefully vague policy designed to force onshore investments, and frankly, predicting how that's going to impact global supply chains and competition and pricing is a much longer and more complicated conversation. But we'll see how the Trump administration, if they will continue that policy.
And, with the World Economic Forum set to kick off next week, I know, John, you were on the ground in Las Vegas at CES last week.
Yeah.
What do you think the focus will be on global challenges come next week, and what tech-related discussions or initiatives do you anticipate that will dominate the agenda?
Well, Trinity, I think clearly CES AI was the top topic, and it really energized the show. But the big thing that came out of CES was the CES keynote by Jensen Huang, who with NVIDIA, talking about robots. So everyone's seeing the future, and it's coming fast. The buzzword of agentic agents, that's going to be key. At Davos, the theme is collaboration in an intelligent age. And you think about the geopolitical comments I was making earlier, it's going to be a hornet's nest of tension around the geopolitical landscape vis-a-vis AI. And what specifically I'm talking about is where those data centers are going to be, where's the power and cooling on a global scale, because AI is a global phenomenon. I think you're going to hear a lot of people talking about how AI is being exported to and from the US. That's going to be a topic. FinTech's always hot, but I think AI will continue to be the hot topic. And again, collaboration in an intelligent age will be very difficult if there's no cohesion, no unity. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the AI conversation plays out, but definitely AI will be the top conversation.
Dave, we have about 60 seconds left, but I'm interested to get your take on what technologies do you believe will define the next generation of remote and hybrid work environments, and that will impact the broader sector most impactfully?
Well, personally, I do feel like AI is here to stay. People don't like the term super cycle, but I think we're in one. I think quantum is a really interesting thing to watch because everybody's really concerned, rightly, about energy. To the extent that quantum actually we are able to pull that forward sooner than what Jensen thinks, that could help with the energy problem. I think robotics are really interesting. All this talk about agents. I'm excited about agents in the enterprise, but I'm even more excited about agents in robotics and Industry 4.0. I think those are going to be some of the really big themes that you'll see in 2025 and beyond.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. It's always great to have you on the show. John Furrier and Dave Vellante, co-CEOs at SiliconANGLE.